Good afternoon. My name's Dave Roberts. I'm the Capital Projects Manager here at Woodland Pond, and this is my weekly update for everything to do with the expansion. It is the 10th of October, and have great news today. We have finally gotten our approval from DOH. We got their letter, had a bunch of requirements, additional requirements. I was saying a little bit, sending us all a little bit crazy. But we wrapped those up. And so this morning we got a letter or an email from Ziegler laying out a calendar from now on. So what's going to happen is that we will be printing our bond documents on Monday. This is big. This is what we've been waiting for. So we're printing on Monday. The investor webinar will be on Thursday, the 16th. So it happens very quickly after that. And then we expect the underwriter will price the bonds on the 21st. So that's only 11 days away. So that's great news. And from there, we think 2 to 3 weeks to the closing. And once we actually have the bonds priced, we are pretty much all systems go. We'll sign the GMP. We will tell Wilson to get themselves up here and start. So as I said before, we're sort of pinpointing that November 3rd date. It might be a week later than that, but just depending on how quickly they get there, so that they can get themselves mobilized. But that's where we're at the moment. So once again, we can't have that final approval from DOH, which is allowing us to go to print on Monday, this Monday, the 13th. And then webinar the 16th, and hopefully the prices for the bonds will be established on the 21st or by the 21st. So that's great news. That just came in this morning, and so we're pretty excited by that. Excuse me. Just had a meeting with logistics committee, and I just wanted to apprise, sort of make you aware of Carrie Kohler's involvement in terms of just figuring out where activity is going to be, what rooms they're going to be in. And one thing she mentioned was that she doesn't have a record of off-calendar events. So if you are organizing off-calendar events in certain rooms, or even if they're in some of the, like open spaces, it'd be good for her to know that, because then she won't organize other activities in those spaces. So I think that's just keep that in mind as we move forward. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a drink of water. Hopefully that'll solve that. So it's just going to be as we go through the construction process, and we'll all get used to this. It's best that we keep as much communication going as possible. And so this is going to help everyone if we are cognizant that, oh, I'm organizing something in a certain room. It's not on the calendar, but I'll let Carrie know just so that she can make a note of that. Carrie is also taking care of the room reservations overall. So she's kind of the point person for that. Once again, best to have one person so that they're accumulating all the information just to make sure that we don't have conflicts in the calendar. And all of this goes for the holiday events. I know there's the sort of formally organized ones that go on the calendar, but then there's also a lot of other events. So just let's keep Carrie in the loop as we're organizing those things. Carrie Kohler, her number is 5543. And it looks like you're going to just have to put up with the frog in my throat today. I'm sorry. The other thing that's a big item for us moving ahead, and we'll be figuring out the finer details in the next week or so, but that's car parking. Because our construction manager is going to need to take over some of the car parks or parking lots over the construction period, in order to, store materials, and, they have a large site office that needs to find a home, then that means that's going to displace some parking. And what our goal here has been is to still maintain parking spots close to entrances as much as possible. But we can only do so much. What we will do is make sure that there are clear and safe paths from the parking lots to the entrances to make sure that you can, walk safely. If you use a rollator, that can be used as well. These are the things that are of high priority for us. But with the car parking, what it means is that some ADA spots will be moving, and we will send out a map to everyone so that you understand this, and we'll walk through it with you in advance. However, I just want to alert everyone to the fact that yes, car parking will change. There are places where it will be a longer walk to the building, and we want you to understand that in advance, especially with ADA spots. Now, we're going to have to ask you to help us here. If you are parked in an ADA spot that you don't use very often, if you use it infrequently, then maybe we can you can park a little further away, and then we can involve staff in getting your car for you when you need it, or support you in that way. We have already recognized that we're going to need a lot of additional staffing just for a lot of these extra things that are going to be going on during construction. It won't be a problem for us to help people with their car parking and so on. We will have the same number of ADA spots. They may not be as close to the building, or they may not be as many as close to the building or distributed in the same way that they are now. We'll send out a map. You'll be able to see it, look at it, figure out where you're going to park, and in advance of the changes. But this is really important. The other thing here is that, if there's a resident that doesn't use their car at all and they're not going to use it and is sitting in the parking lot, this would be a great time to let us know, and then Woodland Pond can help you figure out how you want to let go of that vehicle. Just because, parking is going to be a little tight, and every spot that we can gain is going to be tremendously helpful to all the residents. So anyway, a couple things there about car parking. It's one of the big logistical issues that we have for the construction period. And I think it's going to be a little harder at the front end when the staging areas for construction are going to be larger, and also while we all get used to this process. Throughout this, you may see some trees going in, and I know I mentioned before that Mark Eisenhandler is handling moving the shrubs and trees that we are going to keep in order to protect them through the construction period. It's really important. Some of these are well-established trees, and the ones that are worth moving, he's certainly taken care of that. One of those trees is the Hoffman Memorial tree that's by the fitness area out there, or near the community garden, and we will be moving that. We've identified the company that's going to do it, and they're waiting as late in the season as possible in order to do that, so that it can be moved safely. And also, I just also want to say that we always call New York Dig Safe to make sure that there's no utilities underground before we dig anywhere. Even when Tom is 99% or 100% sure there's nothing in that area, we always call in advance just to make sure that we're doing it in the most safe manner possible. I wanted to talk to you just, I'd like to give you updates about the satellite design and where we're going with that. It has been progressing, and what we are aiming at, and this is a big one, is we are looking at having a meeting, a preliminary meeting with some of the members of the village, um, uh, from planning, and possibly, their planner or their attorney. We're not sure. But anyway, at the beginning of November, we're going to have that preliminary meeting to discuss the satellite design. This is in order to sort of say, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. Uh, Give us your thoughts. We go in with as much information as possible. We will be as open as possible about what we're doing and all the things that we're doing. I've gone to the DEC. There's traffic studies, there's soil studies, all these things that we're considering. We give them all the information, and then in advance of going to like a public hearing and have the public meetings, we want to make sure we have every piece of information that they're asking for so that they have a full and comprehensive understanding of what it is that we want to do for this project. So we're working towards an early November meeting, but this is really important because this is the really starting that process. You may remember we went through this process with the alterations and additions to this building. And so it's a similar process. It's going to be a lot more involved. I expect there'll be a lot more public input, and which is great for us because it means that we get to hear what the public's concerns are, and then we can sort of say to them, oh yeah, we thought of that. Here's the answer. Or sometimes, we hope not, we didn't think of that, but we'll get you the information. So that's where we are with the satellite. But what I'm going to do a quick share of my screen here and show you the current plan. And that is, it is a total of 94 units on the Erman property. As you all are probably aware by now, the wetland runs through the middle of this property, running north-south. So my cursor is outlining that wetland, and that's been confirmed by the DEC. And then there's a buffer, which is a 100 feet buffer around that. And what we have is this is George Danskin down here. So we have two parallel building blocks there. They're connected by a community building, some outdoor parking for visitors, but essentially all the residents' parking is underneath, out of the weather. And also, of course, that means less disturbance on the property as well, which is really good. So that's on the west side next to George Danskin. Now on the east side, North Park Corners Road, we have two apartment buildings. They're smaller, as you can see, but there are 40 units on this side and then 54 units for a total of 94 units being developed on this side. So we're pretty excited about this. Once again, there's parking underneath these two buildings. We're looking at one central entrance, and there will also be a connection for our Woodland Pond vehicles. This won't be for cars and won't be for residents' cars, but we expect that there'll be lightweight vehicles. There'll be electric, maybe golf carts and that sort of thing, connecting this side of the development to the main campus. One of the other things we've been discussing here is this area here, which is some of you will be familiar with, the concrete pad that's down there. And we want to be able to rehabilitate that and do a lot more planting and so on. We obviously don't want to leave it as a concrete pad. And so here is one idea about what that might look like. So here's George Danskin down here, a connector to the North Park apartments. And then what we have here is an entry to a recreation area with a driveway and a car parking area. And this is intended to be a destination recreation area for everyone in the community. And so what we're proposing is that there might be an outdoor pickleball court here, some shuffleboard, restrooms, storage for recreation facilities. We're looking at a covered pavilion so that there's plenty of seating space under cover, protection out of the elements, especially the sun. And then, we'd look at barbecues and that sort of thing happening there as well. So this would be where, you might gather as a small group, with a few friends, go down there, have a barbecue, go down there, play pickleball, watch pickleball or shuffleboard. And then, you could eat down there. There's also one idea is that we could have a performance in the pavilion with a larger lawn for people to sit out on. There'll be plenty of seating down here and a combination of hard surface as well as lawns. With a path, this will be a walking path. You could use bikes on it as well up to the main campus so that pedestrians have a way of walking up to the main campus without walking up the road. And I think that's really important too. So just one idea about what's happening there. It's in development. We're certainly open to suggestions about what might happen there. But once again, this is intended to be a recreation a space for all residents to use, both in large groups and also small groups. All right, I hope you have a great weekend, and I will give you further updates next week. Thanks. Bye.